Hey, welcome to Papa Denk, Beyond the Barricade. I got my very special guest today, the savior of wrestling, Kevin Tibbs.
How you guys doing today? All right, how you doing?
How you doing,
Papa
man?
Denk, how are you doing, brother?
Good, buddy, good,
All
good.
right.
You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Let's do this. What inspired you to be a wrestler?
You know, I can't point like one exact moment that inspired me. I grew up, as far as I remember, I was born in '84, so my earliest memories like Mania 4, 5, 6, getting those VHSs, but I always loved Shawn Michaels from day one. When me and my brother were little kids, he was Janetti, I was Shawn. We used to pretend we were the Rockers, and we were the Tibbs House Tag Team Champions. But I always loved pro wrestling, everything about it, especially Shawn Michaels. As a little kid, when he went to the Heartbreak Kid, out of the Rockers, until the Boyhood Dream, until DX, and then the savior-ish kind of guy after that, I just loved him. I wanted to be him. But when I actually decided, can I curse? I'm sorry.
That's all right, go ahead.
We'll edit that. When I actually wanted to become a wrestler, I was kind of stopped watching wrestling for a while. And then it was like 2005-ish, and I saw TNA, and it was Samoa Joe just debuted. It was AJ and Daniels in the X Division. And it was the coolest stuff I'd ever seen. And then from that point on, I was like, it's now or never. I got to go to wrestling school.
That's what I want to do, right?
And I gotta give it a shot while I'm young enough.
You're doing a great job, man.
Thank you very much.
All right, tell me about the brotherhood here in VPW
It
and the Core 4.
The Core 4, well, the Core 4 was me, VSK, EJ, and Kevin Fulton. We're kind of, and the Core 4, there's more than four of us. Delta, Kai, Graves, they kind of all part of it. Reyes, kind of like our father. But the Core 4 is just the guys who we all kind of started together. You know, we started at the wrestling school every Sunday. We trained for 6 hours, set up the ring, take down the ring. And then all our early bookings outside of VPW were pretty much all together. We just kind of formed a brotherhood from there, from one of those brotherhoods that you form from training and beating the crap out of each other and putting in that sweat and all that hard work.
That's awesome. I heard you guys also like be at each other's weddings.
Yeah, I mean that's real life. Like, it's kind of hard not to become good friends with people that you spend so much time with, and we're all different dudes, all four of us. VSK is totally different than me.
Right.
EJ, Fresh, Fulton, you know, and then Kai is Kyler Khan.
Kyler Khan, yeah.
He is so out there, and maybe the dumbest smart kid I've ever met in my life. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, I don't even know how to explain. It's just like, you know, it's here, but it's also real, you know?
Right. No, I understand. Who has been your toughest opponent so far?
Probably VSK, I would say, just because throughout all the years, there was always that, like when I started at wrestling school, like he was already there for like a year,
right.
And he was kind of like the top student. So from my day one, I wanted to be as good or better than him. You know, he was everyone was always kind of like, oh, VSK is this guy. And well deserved. He is the best wrestler out of anybody here, pure wrestler. He looks great, he works hard, blah, 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 blah. But he was always kind of like my motivation. Anytime that we wanted to wrestle each other, especially back in the early days of VPW when it used to be all the crappy heavyweights who couldn't do anything.
Right.
And then when it was me and VSK's turn to kind of steal their spot,
You stole it.
it was just like we would go as hard, as fast as we could, and every time. So that's why every time I wrestle VSK, it's my toughest because I want to outdo it. Like, there's still, like, obviously, like, you know, we're kind of like, but that old school Tibbs from 8, 9, 10 years ago of always wanting to be as good and get better than him as a friendly motivation.
Right.
It wasn't like anything.
Yeah.
So that always made our matches in my head too, like, I wanted to be the best. I wanted us to show everyone we're better than everyone else. You know what I mean?
And you guys push each other too, right?
Absolutely.
awesome.
Absolutely.
All right, next question. How did the Church of Tibbs form?
The Church of Tibbs was, and I always kind of hated the name, but the Church of Tibbs started kind of organically. We were having a cage match one night where it was taking about 10 hours to set up. So I think it was me. I think I grabbed the mic and just started making fun of EJ Risk. And then he grabbed the mic and started making fun of me. And we just kind of went back and forth for a while. And there was always this kind of group of like heel fans who like cheering me. And then they all just kind of congregated around me and all the other fans who love EJ because he's amazing looking and all that stuff. So he had all the girls and all the.
He has a singing voice too.
Oh, he does. God, he breaks hearts. But so I kind of had my crew, and I just kind of said, like, I'm over here with the Church of Tibbs. And then kind of there, it just kind of formed. And, you know, from then on there, people actually started to like the church. Besides Jacob, everyone always hated him. And that's kind of how it formed. Just kind of organic like that.
That's good. That's awesome. What was the most brutal match you've ever had?
That's a good question.
I mean, there's so many out there. Steel cage.
Yeah, the original ladder match we did a long time ago, which I watched like last year, and I don't think it's any good now since I'm a way better wrestler than I was then. That was pretty brutal. I did a street fight against the Hit Squad last year, and Moff put me through a door. That was pretty brutal, but I've kind of stayed away from like the hardcore stuff. I'm not really into the hardcore stuff. I like the guys who do. I like watching them kill themselves, but it's always kind of not been my forte. So, like, brutal for me is just kind of like the long matches where it's just like my cardio shot, like the dude, we're stiffing the crap out of each other. But, like, off the top, like, I don't think there's one that's really like, that one really killed me. But that powerbomb Caster gave me on the floor a few months ago, that was brutal.
Max Caster of the Shook Crew. All right, how was it being on 205 Live and with BSK?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like one of the cooler things. Like, I was lucky to get extra work that night, and they needed a tag team for 205 Live. And so, like, the whole experience was great. Obviously, that's where everyone wants to work, everyone wants to be. It's the greatest place in the world. Right. And to get chosen to not just be on the show, but to be with one of my best friends and be out there with him, it was, you know, besides my kid being born and my wife getting married, like, it's pretty much the coolest thing I've ever done.
That's awesome.
And, you know, we kind of got our ass kicked for 4 minutes, but it was the best 4 minutes of my wrestling career, you know?
Hey, I want to talk about NXT a little bit, since we're talking about 205. Who do you see as, like, the breakout star for them? That you're saying, man, this guy's got something special.
I mean, you got to say Ricochet. Like, he's just such a... Just watch him last year, even just on Lucha Underground, like, he's the one who, obviously they made him, you know, he was deservingly the top guy there those first couple seasons, but he's just a freak athlete. Everything he does, like, some guys when they try to do Ricochet style stuff and it looks like crap. Ricochet is just a class of his own, maybe him and Ospreay, like, as far as light heavyweights who are just amazing. Right. But I think he just kind of, he's almost like Ray where he transcends that cruiserweight kind of, almost like AJ. AJ's maybe 210 pounds, 205, maybe. But, like, I see Ricochet like I see AJ Styles, where they transcend, and Daniel Bryan, they transcend being a cruiserweight. Right. And they just, without even thinking, they are top guys with the heavyweights.
Top tiers. Gotcha. What do you think of the Velveteen Dream?
Oh, I think he's great. I think he's got everything. I think his matches are great. I think his character's great. His look, like, he looks amazing. He's probably like 6'2". Yeah, he's pretty much got everything.
Yeah, I
agree with that.
All right, awesome. What advice would you give to anybody wanting to be a wrestler like you? Because you have a lot of fans in here who look up to you and they cheer you on every time you come out, and they go crazy.
What
would you say to those people wanting to be a wrestler?
I would say, if you're gonna put in the work, and you have to put in the work. There's no shortcuts to being a wrestler. I mean, I've been doing this 10 years. I've given a lot of my life to it, and I'm still here, you know, in the same spot. So you have to understand that you're going to put in a lot of work. You might make it, you probably won't, and that's just reality of most professional sports, you know, sports entertainment, professional sports. You know, how many football players make the NFL? 0.001%. Right. It's kind of like the same thing with wrestling. But if you are going to do it, you have to do yourself justice. Don't go to a crappy, uncredited wrestling school because it's cheap. Don't go to a crappy don't go to a wrestling school where you've never heard of the trainer before. You have to go somewhere, like the place I work out now, like the VPW school's been closed for a long time, but Cortez Castro, Ricky Reyes, he's the one who trained me. Right. So I trained from a guy who was trained by Inoki, who was trained at the New Japan Dojo. So who was original Ring of Honor, yada, 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 been everywhere. So I had a reputable trainer. But now, when this place closed, the other thing is to understand, too, training never stops. I've been wrestling 10 years. I still go to Creative Pro now. I train with Kurt Hawkins. And, like, I would say if you're going to want to go somewhere, you go there. You go to that wrestling school. You go where there's a legitimate WWE superstar. You go where guys like, when Kurt Hawkins can't be there because he's on the road. You got VSK, Alex Reynolds, you got Pat Buck, you got great trainers who step in as well. And just like, as far as a reputable school as well, Kurt Hawkins gets, if you put in the work there, you get opportunities. I got an opportunity on 205 Live because I work out there, you know, if we're going to be quite honest about it. So it was my hard work was rewarded by getting that in, and then I got in. So I would say the reputable school is everything.
Long Island, Creative Pro is where it's
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think bar none. I think it used to be other places, but you look in the last 2 years, who's doing all the extra work? You watch any NXT, Raw, SmackDown pay-per-view from the New York area, it's filled with Creative Pro guys. Oh crap, there's Smart Mark Stone. Oh crap, there's Max Caster.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, I mean, I think the proof is right there in the pudding.
Yourself, 205
Yeah,
Live.
hey, I got lucky. Yeah, me too.
Good advice, Mr. Tibbs. All right, what does the future hold for Kevin Tibbs?
Ooh, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to still take it a day at a time. I'm not getting any younger. So I got a few more years to give it, hopefully catch a break, and that's pretty much it. But I'm going to keep on wrestling as long as my body tells me I can.
But there's other things you could do after, let's say. You could be a trainer, you could be...
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind. I help out when Cap is desperate. I help out, and they need like their 5th tier trainer. Then I'll hop down, and I like working with them. But that is something that I did do for a while, you know, like before, you know, me and Hawkins used to run like every Wednesday. I was kind of like his right-hand man for like a year straight, where we would, you know, he was obviously in charge, but I was kind of like the number 2 there, and I had a lot of fun working with a lot of those guys like Caster and Clash and all them. And, but I do, when my actual in-ring stuff is over, yeah, definitely. I'm still like, I'm down to Cap like every week. You know, whatever guys want to hear my nonsense advice that I might have, you know, I'll give it to them. But yeah, I don't plan on ever going away.
All right, I'm sure it's not nonsense advice. All right, thank you for being on Beyond the Barricade, and the fans certainly love you, and keep up doing the great job that you're doing.
You too, Papa Denk. Keep watching Beyond the Barricade, and come down, support VPW, Creative Pro, and all your favorite independent promotions.
That's right. Stay tuned.